broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to another Spotlight On interview here at AFTERBUZZ TV. Today we are graced by amazing presence of this dog named Mac, who is amazing. And we also have a very special guest in the studio. I am lucky enough to get to interview the man himself, Cullen Bohannon of Hell on Wheels. Guys, we have Anson Mount in studio with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Did you just try to do a Swedish accent?
I tried to do a Norwegian accent.
Norwegian.
Okay.
Yeah, well, watch out. You're about to lose the water over here. Down the table. All right.
So the dog was thirsty. Started off drinking my water.
Drinking your water.
I mean, I can't blame him. I mean, it's delicious water here in LA. So thank you for joining us. How are you doing today? Pretty good?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you. It's actually like it's hard to like keep up on series nowadays, but this is the one that I've been like, oh my god, it's back. I didn't know it was back. I got to watch all 9 episodes right now. There's not 3 more. Where are they? So now we get to look forward to the wait of getting to November 8th for the penultimate episode.
Yes. Wow. Hey, 50-cent word.
I know,
That's
right?
nice.
That's some Scrabble-ish right there.
Yeah.
Hey, Mac, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, we took a mid-season hiatus this year, which we'd never done before. Interested to see how that's going to affect the numbers, if at all. But there seems to be a lot of anticipation for the last 3 episodes because I feel like John Worth and the whole writers' room left it with a really good cliffhanger.
I mean, they really know how to just make you hate that the episode just ended. Mm-hmm. Like, you're just like, I want more. Don't end it there. No. She's just, no. And then you're like, now I got to wait 2 weeks. But let me just look on my notes real quick here so I know. How you doing, buddy? All right, so I want to kind of break down this interview, like talking about your early life, talking about like where you went to school. I want to see how
this interview is going to go now that you can't see your notes.
You know, it's going to go fine actually because I know my ish. So you grew up in Tennessee. You're born in Tennessee. What point did you kind of realize, hey, I could actually be an actor, and this could be like something that really is a career? Like, what did you want to do? What did you want to be when you grew up before you realized you could be an actor?
Oh God, you know, I went through the whole gamut. I guess I was a painter for a while, and it's because I idolized my sister, who's an artist. She's a medical illustrator, and she was much older than me. And then I discovered acting, and luckily for me, I was blissfully ignorant. I had no idea what I was getting into. And I was also lucky that I had parents who were just had the attitude, you know, you can do whatever you want, and you should do whatever you want, and you just have to work very hard at it. That's, I think, so much of it is just about that, the attitude of the parent. Because I think there's a lot of just unspoken assumptions that some parents have that their kids are just not going to do much, or, you know, they're going to not pursue that crazy dream that really is, it's the kid's life and the kid's responsibility to pursue. So I don't know, maybe my mother was blissfully ignorant as well.
Well, I mean, was there any pressure growing up? I mean, I know they wanted you to do whatever you wanted, but personally, I mean, your mom was a golfer, your dad was an article writer for Playboy. Like, was there any pressure? Like, I kind of want to be as famous, if not more famous than them. Like, I kind of want to live up to their standards or live up to what they've become.
No, they encouraged me to dream big, but it had nothing to do with what they did. But I do think that the reason that they were able to encourage me to dream big is because they did and did things that they could never have imagined if they hadn't had the confidence in themselves, or if their parents hadn't had confidence in them, or a professor or somebody. And so I think that I was raised with a pretty my horizons were lower than a lot of people. The world was was taught to me that the world is accessible as long as I worked hard, and I think too many parents.
They don't teach that anymore.
They don't. They teach the world is your oyster, but they don't teach the if you work hard part.
Yeah, it's just it's the entitled part, but not the earn it part.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it looks like you turned out all right. I think.
Thanks. Thank you. I hope.
I mean,
other people would disagree with you.
I mean, your character in the show, other people would definitely disagree with that. But I mean, who knows? People respect you in it. So. Talking about that, did you grow up around a lot of people in the industry, or was it fairly like a normal family life?
Man, I grew up in a very rural part of Tennessee on Highway 70 in White Bluff, and it was a very small town, one stoplight, one high school for the entire county.
Oh wow!
And a lot of hunting and fishing and being a Boy Scout, and that was my childhood. My father was very obviously hooked into the world of journalism and the world of sports, as was my mother, but not the entertainment industry. No, I was.
You were the Southern boy.
I was a Southern boy, and I just had to start from scratch. And I've been very lucky. I've had some very, very encouraging people behind me in this industry, and who are still encouraging me. And I wouldn't be here without them.
Well, the more I talk to you, the more you sound exactly like your character on the show in the history-wise, and that like you have all these skills. Like you grew up riding horses, you grew up fishing, hunting, doing all these skills. You probably what age did you learn how to shoot a gun?
I guess first time my father took me out shooting, I think I was 10, but I didn't. And then they started me on my own BB gun, and then I think when I was about 12, then I was allowed to start hunting with my parents, and then when I wanted to start hunting with my friends, I had to take the hunter safety course, and I was about 14.
Oh wow! So that's infinitely earlier than I was.
And that's not young where I'm from. We had a gun in every corner of the living room growing up.
Really?
And that was just, I'm not sure if that was a standard, but didn't turn people's heads sideways. That's how you grow up. You're in the country. There are times when you need a gun. Yeah. There are times when there's a rabid dog. There's times, that you're far away from law enforcement. But me and my friends knew that we did not touch those guns, or it would be our behind.
You'd be You'd be mounted up on a.
Yeah, because we had good parents. But that's the difference. I don't want to get on my soapbox.
I mean, you're more than welcome to get on your soapbox, but we can move on. I do want to talk about how you are Anson Mount IV.
Anson Adams Mount IV, but yeah.
Anson Adams Mount IV. So this is you have a half brother who is the third. Your dad's the second, and your grandfather's the first.
You've done your research, yeah.
Yeah. Is this was there a relative before that kind of was like, hey, let's start this trend, or was it just your grandfather was like, you know what? You're going to be me.
Yeah, I guess that. I mean, it was more common back then to have a junior. And my grandfather, though, passed away when my father was an infant, so he wasn't even able to ask him. But, yeah, my father decided he wanted to pass on the name, and then he got divorced and had me, and wanted to name me Matthew Mark after the first two books of the New Testament. And my mother said, absolutely not. And thank goodness. And so they asked my brother permission to name me the same name. And he said, yeah, as long as you call him by his middle name. So I was Adam for the first 8 years of my life until I figured out how I'd been duped. And I said, no, I'm going to be Anson.
And he's probably not too happy about it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he's a good guy.
So it sounds like you have a fairly rich family history. I mean, you're from Tennessee. Your great-great-great-grandfather was in the Secession War for the Confederate side. Did you grow up hearing stories, or did you grow up like having knowledge of your family tree or knowledge of the history with your family?
Not too much. My eldest sister is a bit of a family historian. She's big into the genealogy. And on my mother's side, I do know that I think my uncle is in possession of the piece of paper that listed everything that was in my great-great-great-grandfather's pockets when he was shot.
Wow.
But
so did he pass away in the war?
Yeah, he was shot in the war.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's insane.
Yes.
I mean, it's cool to me because I love history. So looking back so far and seeing like who you came down from.
And he was a cavalry colonel.
Yeah.
As my character is, which is interesting. Yeah.
So I mean, do you think you kind of channel him a little bit when you're playing the part?
Oh God, no.
I mean, you had such a great relationship with your great-great-great-grandfather.
Exactly. Yeah. No. No, people ask me that all the time if I'm somehow influenced by the fact that my great-great-great-grandfather was in the Confederacy, and I say, you know, I usually answer, I also had a grandfather that was a moonshiner, and it doesn't change the way I drink. So.
I don't know, man. You played it. Maybe he had a secret like passion for the arts, and maybe you're just reincarnating.
Maybe.
You never know. So let me move into like kind of your schooling and stuff. You got an MFA from Columbia for the arts.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to go to that college? Like, was it just spur of the moment? This is where I want to go for.
Sewanee? When I went to when I went undergrad?
Yeah.
My father had gone to Sewanee on the GI Bill.
Oh, okay.
And I grew up visiting there with him, and because we were a couple hours away from there, and so there was literally never a time in my life that I didn't equate the idea of college with the idea of Sewanee. Okay. So I applied early admission and got in, and they have a very, very small but extremely good theater department. That's they were lucky enough to inherit. Tennessee Williams left his entire estate to the university, and so they got a very good theater department. They sent me to New York to study for a while. And yeah, I had 4 of the best years of my life there.
Really?
It's a great school. Yeah.
What was your experience? Did they set you up for success like outside of the school? Because I know there's some places where they teach you, but they don't let you audition while you're in school. They don't let you create.
Oh my God, there's nothing to audition for in the Appalachian Mountains, man. So no, not really. But they did send us to New York, which was very important, and that was enough to teach me that I needed to go to graduate school. And in graduate school, it's really 3 years of a place to where I could fail and really get my feet underneath me, and then but they still didn't really teach me how to prepare myself for the real world, which is why I teach at Columbia now for that very reason, to teach the kids there who are in their 3rd year how to begin approaching the industry.
Oh, that's good. Did you learned it on yourself then? Like, what was your first experience like when you entered that realm of, hey, no, you don't get this part. Hey, no, you don't get this part, over and over and over again?
I'd prepared myself for it, and I thankfully I have tenacity or thick-headedness, whatever you want to call it. You want to give him a treat?
Sure. Here you go, Mac.
Watch him. He's going to go to town on this. Come on, get it. Yeah.
So how long was it before you booked your first role? Because your first credited thing, like on IMDb, I'll just bring that up, is Ally McBeal, and it's the Civil War episode again.
Well,
just throwing back to.
Well, I started in the theater, and the IMDb doesn't cover the theater. You gonna try to steal that because there's nowhere to go. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. You can eat it here. Well, I got very lucky. I auditioned for Shakespeare in the Park and got cast as a spear carrier. I was understudying Liev Schreiber, who was playing Iachimo at the time in Cymbeline. And thank God he never got sick, because I would have sucked. Are you going to try to make that leap? Because I don't think you're going to make it. There you go. And then while I was doing that, I landed the lead role of Terrence McNally's Corpus Christi, the original production of Corpus Christi at Manhattan Theater Club. Come here. I'm going to put you down over here so you can eat it on the floor. There you go. Go to town. That got a lot of people watched that play because it was very controversial at the time. Mm-hmm. And then I'm not sure what I did next. Maybe that Ally McBeal, maybe I did a pilot for CBS and blah, 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 you know.
So it just kind of happened, or?
No. You know, an acting career, I tell my students, is like, it goes like that, right? Mm-hmm. And you're hoping that it kind of starts to go like that, but there are it's a wavelength. And there are peaks, and there are definitely valleys.
How long was did you ever have a time where you were almost on the verge of giving up, or was it just like you were all in?
I still think about giving up.
Really?
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's on every level. It's just because, you know, I'm doing well with the show and I'm making a little bit more money now and I'm getting some opportunities I didn't get before. Doesn't mean that this lifestyle is easy. It can be very difficult. It's not as difficult as being a fireman or a soldier, but it's not the easiest career choice to make. But it's definitely, in terms of my day-to-day life, it is definitely easier than it used to be. Yeah, I can remember there's a period where I think I went a year and a half without a legitimate job at one point. Yeah.
Did you ever have a day job outside of acting to pay bills?
Since graduate school, no. There was one time I remember where I felt like I needed to get a job in a bar, and like I was so distracted with phone calls from meetings that I got fired. But I've been really, really lucky since getting out of graduate school. I don't think I've had a job other than acting.
All right.
Not to say it's been consistent.
Well, it's never consistent until you're like Tom Cruise status. Yeah. I mean, even people go away for like 5 years.
No, I teach, right, and I get paid for teaching, but
that's a day job.
You get paid lunch money for teaching.
But you love it.
An adjunct position at an Ivy League school is ridiculous. It's really absurd. I hope that's not Mac's slobber. I hope that's my slobber.
I mean, he's clean. Dog slobber is the cleaner than human slobber, right? That's what I heard.
I guess so.
Something like that. So if we were gonna like talk about every single role, I do. It's pretty.
Dragging down there.
I'm trying not to burst out laughing. So between like 10 years ago and like Hell on Wheels and all of this, it would take all day to talk about all the roles you've done because you've done so many. Literally, it's just a long list. It's a long list, and they're from various. You've been leading man, you've been the villain, you've been the extra. I mean, you've been Spearman number 3.
Yeah.
So, is there a memorable moment from like the span of your career that really like sticks out to you as I can't believe that happened?
Oh, there are several. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot. I mean, it's like. I'm not sure, there are a few I'm saving for Letterman. There are a lot, Like, I mean, come on, making out with Britney Spears, that's one. Acting with De Niro, that's another. Acting with Walken, that's another. Sitting in first class next to Steve Martin, that's...
Wow, that's a thing right there.
And a long list of people that I've gotten drunk with. It goes on and on and on and on.
So this is totally not in my notes or anything. Have you ever done like an impersonation of Christopher Walken? Yeah. After working with the guy, like I can't imagine you not.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story. So I was doing a movie with Walken, and his first day of working, I wasn't on the set that day, but I showed up to just see what was going on. And this is the only time this has ever happened to me. And I have to preface this story by saying that at the time, my phone played La Cucaracha. So, I'm on the set, the camera's rolling, it's on Walken, and in the middle of the scene, from my phone, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na, and I go running outside. Oh my God! I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. So, I finally collect myself. I go inside. They decide to move on to the next setup. And Walken's sitting in the corner with the director talking, and the director's just shooting me daggers. But I'd already developed a relationship with him, so I knew it would be fine. So I apologized to him. And then I went up to Walken, and I said, so I'm the jerk with the telephone. And the whole room stopped. Like the grip stopped moving, the electrician stopped hanging, because everybody wanted to hear what Walken was going to say to me, right? So Walken looks at me after this pause, and he goes, why do these cell phones have to have all these songs? Why can't they just ring? And the room just died, right? Because everybody thought he was going to kill me, and I was just like, oh my God, you're my best friend now. He was a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun. What? No, you're not coming back up here.
I'll pet you, that way you just snort on the ground. He's a funny dog, though. Love Max.
He is.
That's kind of amazing, because I don't think many people can, say that they've had Walken tell him a Walken joke in person. I mean, I don't know. I think you'd probably just die. I'd keel over in laughter if he did that to me.
Yeah, that was fun.
So working with De Niro, though, he helped you influence some of your career decisions, as I've read. Well, what was it like?
Don't ask that question.
Don't ask it?
I mean, come on.
All right.
I can't get away from that question, and
Really?
it's so overblown, and it's just like, I feel bad actually that like, it gets asked so much in press now. If I was him, I'd be really ticked off at me that I ever brought it up.
Oh, really?
You know? Yeah, I mean, look, he ran lines with me once for my Crossroads meeting, and then that was. It's not like it's been made into this thing where he took me under his arm, and he gave me all this advice and taught me how to do the role, and it's like, come on.
It is fairly blown up. That's why I doing the research. I'm
it's
like,
a great story.
They keep mentioning this. They keep mentioning this.
But it becomes a story. It gets spun into a story.
It's a game of
instead
telephone.
Of what it actually was.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll avoid that question then. All right, so let me talk about The Evil Within really quick.
All right.
So this is your very first video game. Well, as far as I could look back and find, this is your first main role in a video game. You play Sebastian Castellanos.
Castellanos.
Is it Castellanos? Okay. I was like 50-50
Spanish
on
pronunciation.
that. Okay. So he's a detective. You're left in some pretty
That was literally my
situation.
first voice test, my first day in studios. My name is Sebastian Castellanos.
You didn't roll the R's?
No, they're trying to get away from the pure Spanish thing. But there are no R's in Sebastian Castellanos. What are you talking about?
Castellanos.
I was like, wait a minute.
So how did you get involved with the game in the first place?
They called and asked if I wanted to do it. They were sort of halfway through building the game. They'd done all the motion capture already in Tokyo, and they were putting together the American cast, and they'd already landed Jackie Earle Haley, I think. And I mean, I'm a video game junkie, so obviously I looked at it, and it was a decent deal. They're starting to realize that they have to come to the table a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I did it for the experience, really, more than anything. And I sort of had a love-hate relationship with the experience. It was not what I expected, but I had a good time with the director and the representative from Tango and the engineers there. We just had a blast. It was a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. Then we'd stop for lunch, then we'd do some more, and then my voice would be stripped, and we'd go home for the day. But I never met any of the other actors.
Really? You never met Jennifer Carver?
Not for a second.
Wow.
Not for a second.
So it's just sessions
I'm
alone.
literally, my character's having conversations, and they're just pieced together clips of me saying this sentence, her in L.A. or wherever she was saying her sentence, and I never heard her dialogue. She never heard mine, and it just got pieced together, and I hated that part of it. I thought it was...
Is that difficult to play off of nothing? Like...
It's not difficult, but the product is never going to be good. There's nothing remotely organic about it. I don't mean to slag off on the game. That's like not good business.
I know, that's not what you meant.
I'm just talking about the process, and I just think it's interesting that I think they're starting to learn that it can't stay there and go further. There's a guy in Paris whose name I forget. He did Beyond Two Souls. And he is blowing everybody out of the water with his motion capture, because what he does, he demands the actors fly to Paris, and he gets them in the studio, shocker, at the same time. And somehow this is like revolutionary. It surprises me.
It's becoming a lot more common nowadays, though, because you'll see some games that are just phenomenal when they have the voice actors in there doing it. Like I know. We interview voice actors here for another show called The Voice Of. So I talked to like Matthew Mercer. I've talked to like all the names escape me. Roger Craig Smith. Like people who they do the voices, but they also bring them in to do the motion capture. Because I was actually curious that you didn't do the motion capture because that seems like such a. That is true, and they started with Japanese voice actors on that because that was Shinji. What is it?
Mikami.
Shinji Mikami, and he's like a god in the world.
He's the Scorsese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to meet him at all throughout the process?
Via Skype.
Via Skype?
Yeah. And he speaks no English, and I speak no Japanese. So it wasn't much of a conversation, but I mean, it was great to do my first video game with him. It was an honor. I mean, it's like saying you're doing your first movie with Scorsese.
Yeah.
And he's retiring apparently after this, I've heard.
They say that.
They say
everybody
that.
says that.
Yeah.
But then they got to return to the world of horror and video games. What was it? What did you do to prepare for having to like get into character when you're basically looking at the grotesque images that you know you're going to be in your mind seeing?
Didn't get to see too many of them. They were still in the process of building the game.
Okay.
My first sessions, and then when we did pickups, there was a little bit more that was done. But even then, you're not seeing the highest quality image because you're seeing stuff that's emailable to the studio where you're recording. But once you see it all pieced together and get to actually play the game, it's pretty cool. But what's weird is that when you voice a game and then you play it, you don't have that same gestalt that you have when you play a different video game where your mind is sort of putting the voice with what you're seeing.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm still hearing what I recorded and it's my voice, and then I'm seeing this thing and it just doesn't
add up.
Doesn't fit. Yeah, it's really weird.
I guess that's unfortunate, but at the same time, you get to be part of the game, which is pretty sick.
It's really cool.
I mean,
really cool.
I'm assuming you say you're a video game nerd. You're big into video games. Super Nintendo, regular Nintendo.
My parents never let me have a video game system growing up, which is why I'm now addicted.
Okay.
Right? So let that be a lesson to you parents out there.
What's your poison? First-person shooters, RPGs? All of it?
Design.
Okay.
Just well-designed games. I really like this company, That Game Company, who did Flower.
Oh, yeah. Very, like...
The Unpainted Swan.
Conceptual.
They try to... They just sort of reinvent what a game is, and I just find it's really smart what they're doing, and I love what they do. I also like the original BioShock is probably the best designed world I've ever seen, along with Uncharted 2 is amazing, and I like Portal. I think Portal is smart game.
Well, it was the first puzzle game to actually become really mainstream with that audience.
It's a great story, and Portal 2 was great, and I can't wait for the third one. But Hitman's probably my favorite.
Hitman?
Combining the puzzle element with the design. Yeah, I really like that sort of closed world puzzle system. I'm not big into what I call flaneur games, where you can wander about the entire world and it never stops.
Open world games?
Like,
okay.
The Elder Scrolls is as cool as it is. I mean, my God.
You don't have time for that.
I don't have time for that. And I don't have time for Grand Theft Auto, as cool as it is. You can get lost in there.
You ever played Red Dead Redemption?
I did, actually.
Okay.
Actually, I was playing that. A buddy of mine voiced one of the games that comes in very late in the game. So, and he and I were doing a play. And we were sharing a house in Long Island because we were doing this play together, and we spent a month playing this game to try to get to where his voice came in.
Okay.
And during that time is when I got the audition for Hell on Wheels.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So you're immersed in this game that's basically the same kind of setting as Hell on Wheels, and then bam, you get this. That's pretty convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how to shoot crows. I know how to do it. So let's talk about Hell on Wheels. I've been putting it off. I've been talking about games. I've been talking about your early life, college, all that stuff. Let's talk about this show.
Right.
Okay, so I binge watched season 3 and everywhere we are in season 4 just to rewatch and get caught up on everything. Again, the episode 6, I think, 7, Elam Ferguson. The ending always gets me. This is the very first time we see your character actually crack, like, in a big way, aside from the family in the very beginning of the series. What was it like filming that episode? Like bringing out that emotion in the character and knowing what you had just done in the series.
Well, that was that moment was scripted actually by Mark Richard, and I read it and I said, "Damn it, Mark." But he's right. We actually discussed it. If we were going to see Cullen Bohannon hit the depths of sorrow, which we'd never really seen before. That's the moment. There's no other moment in the series that is just possibly going to match that. So, I showed up on work that day, and I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what I was going to do. And I don't know. I just kept listening to my instinct was saying to me, it's like he has to vomit. It's like he's got to vomit. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was listening to the the little voice. What do you mean he's got to vomit? He's like, no, it's a vomiting thing. It's kind of like a get out of his guy. He has to expel this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just started playing around with the idea that maybe this thing starts to come out of him and he doesn't know what it is, and he starts hearing the sound of his own voice. I mean, it's like, I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you don't realize you're going to cry and all of a sudden your voice cracks and you realize, oh my God, and
Yeah.
it all comes out.
It's not a fun experience.
Yeah, no, it was just kind of that. And after doing it a few times, I was able to get there.
Well, I mean, it's amazing to me is because I can watch lots of movies, lots of shows, and like it never really hits you. Like sometimes you're just like, oh, he's crying because he's sad, kind of thing. This sounds like this is a guy who doesn't know how to cry, and he doesn't know how to cry.
Exactly.
It's just like screaming.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
like literally, I'm watching my computer and I'm just like, don't even know what to do. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then they end the episode, and you're like, what? Ugh. And it's so surprising because they had the end of season 3 was the death of Common, when it wasn't really the death of Common. They bring him back for his grand hurrah. I mean, was that a later choice? Were they planning on killing him off at the end of season 3?
No.
Okay, so they always planned to have this be the story arc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't quite know what was going to happen to Elam at the beginning of season 4, but then in the off season, we got hit with the knowledge that Common wanted to leave the show.
Oh wow.
So we had to figure out how to get him out, and the number of episodes allotted us. So I thought they came up with a great plan. Yeah,
we have a whole side story with the Anapaho, I think was the Indian tribe.
Arapaho.
The what?
Arapaho.
Yeah, and combining that with his history with Eva was I found very interesting in the writing, and that the way they bring these two characters, what you'd think would bring them together through their combined history with the Indians, is he just doesn't even remember, and it tears them apart, and ends up with you putting a knife in his stomach and a bullet in his chest.
Yeah.
Which was also very surprising. I mean, this whole season, binge watching this show is not a relaxing thing, because you're just like, every episode is another hit, and then finally now we are at the current state of affairs with Ruth, who after
and I just gotta say, we also got very lucky, I feel, in that episode that we had Rod Lurie to direct it, who I've worked with for a very long time, and he's directed some great episodes for us, and he really helped me through that episode.
You're talking about Elam Ferguson?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many episodes have you worked with him on?
For this show, he did 208 for us,
Okay.
and then this one. But we did a series together a few years ago called Line of Fire for ABC.
Okay, and you worked a lot with him back then.
Yeah.
Is it easier to work with somebody you've worked with before?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay.
I mean, as long as you get along well together. I've done a lot of work with some people in the past that might not, fit the bill, but
Yeah, like Kevin Durant, who I know. Sorry, that was a crossover. Sorry, dog. He's good. So portraying this role on Hell on Wheels, it's an AMC show. There's a lot of build up to a series like this. After Breaking Bad, after all these series they have that are absolutely phenomenal, there's got to be a lot of pressure on your shoulders. And when you're a producer of the show for this season, you've started being a producer of the show, which I find really interesting, in that the show, usually when actors start producing things, it loses quality, but I feel like the show is ascending in quality towards where we're planning to hit at the end of season 4 and hopefully into season 5. Have you had any creative influence in where the story has taken it this season?
Well, prior to both of the last 2 seasons, there's been opportunities for all the regular actors to go into the writer's room and just sit and discuss, in general, emotionally where they feel like they are, or things that they'd like to see. And it's not, I mean, there's nobody, it's very much a conversation, and nobody's guaranteed anything, but I definitely do that. And then I don't want to be in the writer's room. I think that's dangerous. I'd like to be given material, and that's been drummed up in my absence. But more than anything, I think that I don't think that's where my strengths lie. I think that my strengths, if I have any strengths, they lie in sort of just being another voice in casting and in editorial. And outside of that, I try to keep my mouth shut and learn as much as I can. I think more often than not, actually, when actors begin to get a producing credit, I'm not sure how much producing they do, but I don't know because I have not been involved in those shows.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that there comes a point in time with renegotiation that you can negotiate for some of these things, that some people just want the credit, and sometimes they renegotiate to direct episodes, and I'm actually not a fan of that. So, because I just think it's kind of a tightrope walk you drag the rest of the cast onto. So I'd rather produce, do what I can, learn what I can, and focus on being Cullen Bohannon.
So are you interested later in your career at becoming a producer for a television series or maybe a showrunner at some point?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, a showrunner, no. I don't want to be in the room. I want to be on set, and I want to be acting on set. But creating shows, yes. I'm actually I'm developing a couple of things right now.
Anything you can talk about? Probably not.
No.
Had to ask. You teed it up. I had to ask. So I do also want to talk about, this is probably a weird subject to talk about, is the recasting of Naomi.
It's not a weird subject.
It's not a weird subject. Okay.
No.
Because it was very curious to me because it's always very shocking at the beginning of a season when you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, who is that? Oh, wait.
It seems like it could be a weird subject because you don't see it happen too much. Mm-hmm. And the reason it happened for us is because Siobhan is an actress who's starting to work a lot. We didn't have her under contract, which was a mistake.
She was in Black
She was
Box.
snapped up by ABC. And when it came time to get ready for this season, we needed her. We felt we needed her for at least 4 episodes, preferably 7. And ABC's precedent is to not allow contracted players do other TV shows for more than 2 episodes.
Oh, wow.
And that's their precedent. They're not going to go beyond it. And it went all the way up the ranks. We couldn't get them to change their mind about it. So we were left with no choice but to recast the role. Unfortunately, Siobhan was great to work with. Total professional, lovely actress. Love to work with her again. But we really went into an early casting session to find the best replacement for her that we could, and felt really good about Mackenzie Porter. And she brings a different quality to the character. But it's a wonderful quality, and we've had a great time working with her.
Well, it's definitely interesting, too, because it's not supposed to be... I liked where the character went because it seemed like it was 2 parts. Like, it seemed like the character should have moved forward from the next season, or from the past season.
Yeah.
So it made sense to have it be not exactly portrayed the same. So,
Yeah, I felt the same about... Did you ever watch Rome?
I didn't know.
Oh, you got to see Rome.
Really?
They recast the character between seasons, or not between seasons, but between breaks and...
Like a hiatus?
Breaks in time. Not a hiatus, but breaks in time. Because that show would leap months sometimes between episodes, you know.
Mm-hmm. So they recast somebody and it worked out really well?
Because of the maturation of the character.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I know that Game of Thrones recast a character last season that had a lot of heads turning.
Really?
But no, I think it really worked for the show. But are there any difficulties as an actor, or is it just business as usual? Like, okay, this is a new person playing this character.
I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like you
Doing the same
get to-
dance with a different...
We get to go build sandcastles in a sandbox, right? That's it. And it's like saying, are you going to mind that somebody else comes and plays sandcastles with you? No, come on in. As long as they are well behaved and play nicely and have good ideas, and totally.
All right. Well, let me talk to you about the Swede.
All right.
Because you didn't have any scene. You haven't had any scenes with the Swede since he died.
No, that's not true. You mean when he jumped off the bridge?
sorry. When since you've left Fort Smith. I'm sorry.
okay.
Sorry.
Right.
I'm brain fart right
That's
there.
all right.
No, so the Swede has left off at a place where he went with Brigham Young,
Yeah.
and you're back at you're back at Hell on Wheels.
Yeah.
So right now he's working with the Central Pacific Railroad, and you're working on the Union Pacific Railroad. And right now we're leading up to this gigantic clash of heads where when the two railroads meet each other, I feel like this is where the end of the 4th season will be, is where you two see each other again. Because I want, as much as I want to see you just strangle him to death at in the finale,
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be a very compelling cliffhanger to the 4th season to know that this Battle of Wits is coming back for the 5th. And it's strange to me because watching the 2nd season at the end, I'm like, how are they going to kill him? He's so compelling. He's so... I hate him so much.
That role was originally supposed to be only 2 episodes.
Really?
And he was so good that I couldn't kill him off.
Were they just going to have you kill him after the 2nd episode?
I don't know. I don't even know. But they did some quick rethinking once they saw the first dailies from his first day.
I hate him so much.
I know. He's a great actor. He's a great guy to work with.
Does he kind of... Is he good at getting under your skin in the scene, like really getting you into that? It's a weirdly phrased question.
No, again, Chris is not a method actor that way. Like, when the cameras aren't rolling, he takes his work very seriously, as I do, as he should, but we have fun. You know, he's not trying to mess with me. He's confident that I know what I'm doing with the scene, and I'm confident he knows what he's doing with the scene. We don't need to mess with each other too much. You know, we just lock onto each other, and we play.
All right. Well, it looks great on camera.
Thanks.
I mean, it's the show has been doing very well in that it has a very consistent viewer base, and that's something that people really desire these days. When we see all these shows that are starting, they're being canceled.
I think it's
5 episodes.
I think it's a very different viewer base than any of the other shows on AMC.
I mean, it hits the 18 to 27 range consistently, like 2 to 4 million every week, which is, or I probably have my numbers completely wrong at that point.
I haven't looked at them recently, so I have no idea.
But from the reception, like keeping a consistent viewer base from 4 seasons is not an easy task, and I feel like we're getting ready for a season 5, and I know nobody knows at this point whether we're going to get it or not, but I'm fairly confident we're going to get it. Do you think that the fans are going to be left off in a good place at the end of the season where they're just going to really want more?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think these last 3 episodes are fantastic. I'm really happy about them. As happy as I have been about the rest of the season, and I think that this is exponentially the best season that we've ever done. I can't tell you anything, but I can tell you the place in which we leave the end of season 4 is breathtaking and is going to open up a whole new chapter of the Hell on Wheels story. And it's...
Oh my God, you're going to work for Central Pacific.
Not necessarily. And we're going to have a piece of... Can't really say what it is, but we're going to have a piece of music that's never been heard before.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm really excited because I just everything with the Central Pacific, like I just think of it having its own series on the side. Like you have the Union Pacific Hell on Wheels, and then you have the Central Pacific Hell on Wheels, and it feels like it's going to be 2 TV series colliding, one which we've never seen before with characters we've never seen before.
Right.
And I'm excited to get this whole like the Asian actors they're going to bring in from this, all of these new like cultural differences, all of this new history that they're going to bring in with having all these people collide.
Remember, we shoot in Alberta.
I know, but you can still I'm sure you can still make it happen.
But you know, what's to be honest with you, I think a good end to a season raises as many questions as it does provide answers. And when you write a TV show, you don't necessarily know where you're going. Especially with something like this, because there are so many possibilities that I think it's gonna really get people salivating, but at the same time there are gonna be a lot of like, where's this going in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Well, you always want to be asking questions. You never want to be like, oh, that was the end of the season. Can't wait till next season so I can meet new characters and meet new storylines because everything's wrapped up in a nice little bow right now.
Yeah.
And then nobody's excited because they're like, oh, comes back. But now I'm sure they're going to blow us away. Probably literally and metaphorically. I'm guessing. Ruth's in a bad place. Everyone's not in the best place right now. So I can't wait.
I really can't wait. I mean, and I can't pick one that I'm like, I mean, each one, 11, 12, and 13 for completely different reasons are just, I'm so happy.
Well, fans, you guys got to turn in November 8th, November 15th, and the 22nd, or are you taking a week off around that time?
No, that's it. Three straight weeks. And that'll be the last last three episodes of season 4.
I'm nervous. I just don't know who's going to die.
Well, buddy, we're doing our last sound mix tomorrow afternoon, and then I'm going on vacation.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate getting the chance to talk to you about the show.
Thanks for having me on.
And I'm really excited about the show.
Oh, good.
I will be watching vehemently for the next 3 episodes.
Good.
Thanks to you too, Mac.
Say thank you, Mac.
He'll be all right. All right, guys, this has been a Spotlight On with special guest Anson Mount, the man himself, Cullen Bohannon, and it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you guys for another episode of Spotlight On sometime in the future. Where can we find you on Twitter?
At Anson Mount.
That was really hard.
Very easy.
Yeah, I'm at Stephen Lemieux, STPHENLEMIUX, as well as on the Sleepy Hollow, Sons of Anarchy, and South Park after shows here at AfterBuzz TV, and we will see you guys next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.